Black people were also beginning to make inroads into other spheres of American life. They were buying land, setting up businesses, and becoming economically independent.
I started a farm. I own one lot, 7 acres, another 1 acre, and another about a quarter of an acre. I bought myself a little plantation, bought another place, and together that makes 98 acres.
I bought 150 acres. I have about 50 or 60 acres tended.
I rented 43 acres of land. I have a good crop in.
My husband put up an elegant blacksmith shop.
I have a son I sent to school.
It's a moment of possibility. They have reunited their families. They have formalized their unions. They have property. They have their own businesses.
The 14th Amendment had granted equal citizenship to all Americans, especially African Americans.
It was about being able to claim an American birthright, full citizenship. They saw themselves as really moving forward.
What does real equality look like? It looks like equal protection under the law.
Now African Americans could serve as sheriffs. So they were able to go out and make arrests and bring white perpetrators in for justice.
Black people get to be judges. They get to sit on juries. They get to sign contracts in their own interest.
John Roy Lynch, a successful young businessman in Natchez, Mississippi, was appointed in 1869 as a justice of the peace.
He was born a slave in 1847 in Louisiana, the son of the plantation manager. And at the end of the Civil War, he attended night school.
As a very young man, he distinguished himself working in a photographer's studio.
He went to a few Republican meetings.
And impressed Adelbert Ames, who was the Reconstruction governor of Mississippi. Even though Lynch was only 21 years old, Ames appointed him to be a magistrate.
In his memoir, he wrote about how former slaves would bring all their problems to him as a local justice of the peace. There was a black man in this office. There had never been such a thing in Mississippi before the Civil War, and so former slaves kind of identified with him.
A case that came before me was that of a white man. He threatened the life of an old colored man over a business transaction. He remarked, "Do you mean that it's a crime for a white man to curse a nigger?" "Yes," the court replied. "It is as much a crime for a white man to curse a Negro as it is for a Negro to curse a white man." "Well," he exclaimed, "that's news to me."
You're living in this moment. You're imagining that will only get better.
In slavery, African Americans could not control their communities. And so if people are drawing on the resources that they had developed in slavery, on their sense of what it meant to have family relationships, friendships, communities, and they're able to institutionalize them in new ways,